edition of Talkin Beavers. I'm Amanda Maynard. Well, it was a rough season for the men's basketball program, but one of the bright spots was the play of Drew Eubanks. He's now preparing to return for his junior season after testing out the waters at the next level. Our Lindsay Schnell sat down with him to talk about the decision.
Okay, Drew, the returner. So you tested the NBA waters, decided to come back. Tell me about that process. How and why did you decide that you were going to enter your name but not hire an agent?
I felt like I had a pretty decent year given our record. I really wanted to make this past offseason, I wanted to make personal strides in getting a lot better, getting a lot stronger. And I feel like I did that. There's obviously a lot of room to improve. Everybody's got room to improve, and I'm not a big fan of like losing, and I was just tired. I didn't want to lose anymore, so I decided like test the NBA water to see if I could get to the next level this year.
And so what feedback did you get from NBA teams that made you decide you were going to return for another year?
They mostly just said that they don't have me on their radar this year, but next year for sure I'm a player to watch out for, and they wanted me to improve on my outside shooting and my free throw, get to the free throw line a lot more, and get my rebounding up too.
So before you decided to go down this path and get feedback from NBA guys, what was on your to-do list this offseason? You said, get stronger. What does that mean? Do you want to put on X number of pounds?
No, this offseason I actually wanted to slim down a little bit because
Slim down? You're pretty thin.
Because I gained a lot of weight, and I mean, it was good, like it helped me out a lot, but I felt like if I can get stronger this offseason and cut back, I can still keep a lot of my athleticism that I've naturally just had and probably get a little bit more. So I've cut back a little bit. I'm like 245 right now, where I was at like 250 during the season.
What do you want to play at ideally?
245 is good for me.
When you think about your NBA future, I mean, it's going to happen eventually. Is there a player that you think about modeling your game after, or someone who you resemble in build and skill set, especially like now at this point in their career, someone that you think, I can do what that person did?
Yeah, so back when I first started watching basketball, back like my freshman year, that was when like Lob City was starting to become a thing with the Clippers and stuff, and so like I've been watching Blake Griffin for a really long time, and I really like the way he plays, and he plays really hard and aggressive.
McLaughlin drops it off to Drew Eubanks underneath. Nice move underneath the basket. The lob. Eubanks brings it down. McLaughlin from deep.
Eubanks, baby, with a big throwdown.
So you do decide to come back. Rough year, obviously, this last season, but really bright future. You guys are bringing in some really good recruits. Trace will be healthy. Maybe we should knock on wood at some point. You're bringing in a good grad transfer. So do you feel like there's a lot of positive energy right now around the program, especially since you decided to come back?
Yeah, there's a lot of positive things. Again, like we got a lot of experience last year. We have everybody coming back. And then we got some seniors, Shea, and then this grad transfer, and then we got a lot of young talent too in Ethan. And something that we lacked last year was depth, where we weren't able to play a lot of people, and like guys were getting tired. Where this year we're going to have at least 15 guys to where they could just, if somebody's tired, get the next guy in, and we're going to be able to play a lot faster too.
So you said you're sick of losing. I think that's something that all your teammates can identify with, and certainly fans in Beaver Nation. What kind of role do you take on this offseason in terms of becoming maybe a more vocal leader, or just more of a leader in general to make sure you can stop the losing?
I really wanted to mature, I guess. I did. Coach Tinkle will always say like I've been mature just from taking coaching and just by the way I carry myself, and I feel like I've done a better job of that, and I just want to become a more vocal leader. Guys look up to me just because I've been here, and I've been a starter for the past 2 seasons, and I really want to help lead this next team this next season.
So there's a lot of excitement about Ethan Thompson. We got to know the truth. Is he better than Stevie?
I don't know. I probably wouldn't give it to him yet just because I haven't seen him play in a while. But I'm gonna probably give it to Stevie because he's the older brother, and he's never gonna let the younger brother outshine him.
How much is Ethan gonna help you guys though, and how much is he gonna push Stevie, you think? I think you're right that Stevie's not gonna want to be outshone by little brother.
Yeah, he's gonna help us out a lot outside shooting. He's a great scorer. Personally, he's going to take a lot of pressure off me because the teams aren't going to be able to double team as much because we have more threats on the outside and we just have like smarter players now than we did last year. But he's a great kid. I love him. Can't wait to have him on campus.
So last question, what do you think is the single most valuable thing you learned in entering your name in the NBA draft and then withdrawing?
I feel like everybody's time will come, and that patience is key, and that if you don't get the result you want, just keep working for it. I'm kind of just like an easygoing guy. I like to go with the flow, so I understand like it's not my time now, but you just gotta keep doing things the right way, keep working hard, and eventually it'll work out.
Still ahead, Omaha has been on the minds of the Oregon State baseball team from day one. Now, after a dominant regular season, Mike Parker catching up with Luke Heimlich to talk about winning the Pac-12. And up next, I sit down with an Oregon State athlete whose written word has caused a stir on the national stage.
I was like, you know, nobody reads my blog anyway, so why not just throw it on there just for myself? And so I posted it, and then I posted the link on Twitter, and it just kind of blew up from there.
Welcome back to Talkin Beavers. Mental health issues can often be difficult to talk about, especially in the high-pressure environment of college athletics. But Oregon State volleyball player Lanisha Reagan is breaking the mold. Her own story of mental illness making national headlines when she shared it in a blog post online. Tonight, she's sitting down with us in our standard TV and appliance interview to talk about how she's hoping to make a difference. You wrote a piece called Being a Student Athlete and Living with Mental Illness. Why did you decide to do that?
I think I was just in the moment. I thought writing out my feelings would be the best thing. I never really intended to publish it. It was more of just like a thing I was going to file away in my computer and under my little folder called Thoughts. But then I finished it and I really liked it. And I've never written something that I felt comfortable sharing with a lot of people. And I was like, you know, nobody reads my blog anyway, so why not just throw it on there just for myself? Because like there was no other reason. I just kind of felt like putting it on there. And initially my blog was for just like writing samples, and so people could see like kind of my voice and like what I could write. And so I posted it, and then I posted the link on Twitter, and it just kind of blew up from there.
What was that like when that happened?
Overwhelming.
Scary,
yeah,
maybe?
It was a lot. I mean, it was really cool because, I mean, people were like, wow, you're such a good writer. And I mean, that always feels nice to know that you're decent at something you enjoy doing. But I mean, it was definitely overwhelming. I think a lot of people reached out right after, and I really liked that. But it's also, I kind of felt responsible to respond quickly and to let people know that I'm there and like I can support them if they need that, because that's basically what I was saying. And I was saying that in my blog post, that support is so important to have, and to have that like base around you to help you is a key. I mean, it was a key to me, even though I don't think a lot of people knew I was going through it, but it made a big difference knowing that I could talk to somebody if I wanted to.
You wrote about self-harm.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that prompted that?
It was about control. Like I felt like I couldn't control anything else, and I knew I could control pain, which is a really morbid thing, but I mean, when you don't feel anything, which is how I felt a long time, and I try to portray that in some of the writing, is like I didn't feel anything. It was just like numb constantly, and that drove me insane, and I wanted to feel something. So I think that was the easiest way for me to feel something. You know, I'm still not really a person that cries very often. I don't get really emotional about most things, so I didn't really have a reaction to anything. So I wanted to have some type, like my body to have some type of reaction.
What do you think is the best advice you've been given through this process?
I don't know, I haven't gotten a ton of advice other than just to keep being yourself. And I think that's kind of undervalued, just because when you go through things like depression or self-harm or anxiety, then people want you to be different than what you are. They want you to be fixed, like they want to save you. And I don't think that's something that should be like looked at as a great thing. Like I would never want somebody else to save me. I think you can have support, but at the end of the day, like you have to go through it by yourself. It is a very personal decision, and to get help and to get better, and you can't force someone that doesn't want to get help to get help. You can't force someone to change if they don't want to. And I think you need to realize that you're the only one that can really save you, with support from other people.
Later, we talk a little football. Nigel Burton catching up with a pair of defensive linemen to talk about the biggest difference in being coached by Coach Anderson and Coach Chad. But up next, Luke Heimlich sharing the importance of his role as a leader on this team.
You really got to know your process and kind of be able to stick to that day in, day out. You got to have the same mentality in what you're doing and stick to your routine of what you've had that's got you this far.
Number 1 overall seed, Oregon State, Pac-12 champs.
We are honored to be the number 1 seed in the country. I think
The road to Omaha starts later this week for the Beavers baseball team right here in Corvallis. The guys have topped the charts for the vast majority of the regular season. And in our Les Schwab interview of the week, Mike Parker sitting down with Luke Heimlich to talk about kicking off postseason play here at Goss.
J.J. Balta at third base, Kyle Kasser at second, Steer at first, the 3-2 pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3. The Beavers hang on and win it, and they are the outright 2017 Pac-12 champions.
A Pac-12 championship, and with it, the opportunity now to host in postseason play. You were part of a team that went to a regional 2 years ago. You're a better pitcher now. You're older. You're more mature. You've been a leader of one of the great teams in the history of college baseball, really, up to this point. So what are your thoughts, Luke, about being back at Goss Stadium at Coleman Field, getting a chance to pitch at home in postseason play?
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to be at home. For most of the month of May, we kind of had a home stand, and it's been a lot of fun with the fans here. And we're excited for the postseason. You know, we get amped up for it, and we know the fans are going to do the same thing, so it's going to be a completely different atmosphere. We got some of the best fans in the game, and it's a lot of fun every day hearing them cheer us on, and so we're really looking forward to it.
And no matter what, though, too, Luke, everything you just talked about, nothing can change. While it's postseason, it's still baseball in your own ballpark that you've executed so incredibly well. Routines and all of that, you really don't change. Everything's worked up to this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's the postseason, as I mentioned before, you really got to know your process and kind of be able to stick to that. Not get out of your routine day in, day out. You got to have the same mentality in what you're doing and stick to your routine of what you've had that's got you this far.
The better days, you hope, are all still ahead. Say at the end of 2017, my favorite moment was fill in the blank. Of all these great wins, has there been one that, whether Quan's Grand Slam or moments or just different things that have happened in the year that, hey, it's hard to top that? I mean, as far as the sheer emotion and joy of it all.
Yeah, I think all the games are important. I mean, a win's a win no matter how you get it, but at the same time, winning the Pac-12 was pretty special. To do that at Oregon, I mean, high pressure situation and have a freshman on the mound be able to come up and make one of the biggest pitches of his career maybe. And so that was really exciting, and that was my first Pac-12 championship, so that was a pretty fun night.
Nate Yaskey told me that you said, I'm finishing this game. You told him that against Washington State. Tell me a little bit about your feeling and communicating that to him.
Yeah, my pitch count was low all game. I had a rough 6th inning, kind of got hit around, made some uncompetitive pitches over the middle of the plate, and they punished me for it. But at the same time, I felt good, and I wanted to kind of bounce back and give my team a chance to win. And on Friday night, it's my job to go as deep into games as I can to keep the bullpen fresh. And so after the 6th, I came in, he said, you know, give us another strong inning. I went out after the 7th, got to the 8th, and after the 8th, I said, I'm not coming out. I'm going to finish this game. And he said, all right, go do it. And then we were fortunate enough to win it in the 9th.
Luke, how have you felt about that? I mean, you've led the nation in earned run average almost the entire season, the best ERA in the country. So that speaks for itself. But how have you felt start in, start out, each start, maybe even on the days when you've been able to limit other teams without maybe your best stuff in command? How have you managed all of that this year?
Yeah, as a starter, there's only a couple starts where you're really going to have your best stuff and have all pitches clicking. So it's kind of the same mentality. You got to figure out what's working for you on specific days and find a way to get the job done. It goes into looking over scouting reports of the other teams, knowing their weaknesses. But ultimately, you're going to pitch to your own strengths when it comes down to kind of pressure situations. So you got to really know what pitches you can execute and then just make a good pitch.
And speaking of the Diamond, the Beavers softball team's season came to an end at the hands of Kent State down at the Waco Regional. The ladies following 2-1 in the second game in the elimination bracket. We are certainly looking forward to their season next year. After the break, we're hearing from the many talents of Elu Aiden.
That saved already.
of a first down. Herbert looking deep for the end zone for Johnny Muntz. Incomplete. Herbert give to Royce Freeman. Hit at the line by Humalu. Here's Herbert. Steps up. Goes down. Elu Aiden, the redshirt freshman from American Samoa.
Also solid defensive pieces back for the Beavers as well are Nigel Burton sitting down with two key defensive players to find out what they need to do to play defense at a championship level.
So the obvious question that I have, being that I sat in the D-line room with you, by the way, appreciate the donut, Elu, is what's the difference between now being in the room coached by Coach Chad versus being in the room coached by Coach A? What's the biggest difference there?
Honestly, there's not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
You know, they're both great coaches, you know, and I've learned a lot under both of them, Coach Chad and Coach A.
Like Edu said, it's not a big of a difference, but Coach Chad is very technical, and Coach A is very, like, also technical, but also more
about scheme and the bigger picture?
Yeah, give us a little bit more freedom.
You know, for everything that you guys have started to become, you guys took a lot of criticism last year. I mean, there was a lot of like, hey, you know, not getting to the quarterback as much, or, you know, talking a lot about the run defense. How are you guys going to go about solving that this season?
I think this season we're, you know, I felt coming in as a new D-line last year I struggled with the playbook, to be honest. And this year, like spring ball, being able to have that, like we already know what we're doing. So now I just feel like we play faster. We're just more confident in where we're going, not like guessing, oh, am I supposed to go this way or this way? You know, so when you know what you do, then you play a lot faster.
What is this defense in particular going to have to do? Because there were these moments that were huge, where the defense stepped up and really got the ball rolling. I'm thinking of, you know, that big run in the Civil War. As much as the offense gets all the credit, it was really the defense getting a lot of stops when things were really and keeping Oregon from making a comeback. What does this defense have to do to play championship level defense?
Man, it's simple, just play sound as a defense, you know what I mean? Being able to know what you're doing, plus what the outside linebacker is doing. So as a D lineman, you should know where you're going and where the outside linebacker is going. Being fundamentally sound, technically sound, and just playing as a unit, you know what I mean? Yeah, those are the corners, yeah, this is the D line, the linebackers, but at the end of the day, you know, if we don't come together and work together, then it's going to be for no use. But in my opinion, in order to play in order to play at a championship level, I think we just got to learn how to play together and build that chemistry that we need.
You participate in that traditional dance at the luau that's here every year. How does it feel knowing that this community has really embraced Polynesian culture?
Oregon State University, I feel like they've come to embrace the Polynesian community that has pretty much grown a lot. I feel like with the luau, you know, I mean, it gives us a chance to showcase like our culture. You know, we really weren't supposed to do it. We weren't gonna do it because of football and spring ball and how the schedule changed. But you know, at the end of the day, we were like, let's just put something together. So we did it, and you know, like I said, it's crazy to see how accepting and how embracing a community is to such a small ethnic group within the Polynesian community. You know, it's just a great experience to be able to see the love that Oregon State and Corvallis has for Polynesian people.
Well, I know from that night, and I think you won a different talent contest as well. I'm just wondering, you know, any chance we can get you to sing a few bars? You know what? We got the camera here.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Hey! Oh man, if I was a girl, oh man. I'll be all over that. I'm buying him flowers and dinner, anything he wants.
Oregon State kicks off the 2017 season at Colorado State on August 26th. Well, thanks so much for joining us for another edition of Talkin Beavers. We'll be back here on June 28th, where we'll take a closer look at the baseball team's postseason run.